Good morning and a big fat welcome to all the newcomers to my channel. It's a beautiful morning here in Fort Pierce, Florida. I'm in my tiny little sailboat and I am going to talk about today a certain topic that just keeps coming up, and as with pretty much everything I've ever talked about, I must be careful of what I say because I'm not a fool. And I'm not going to potentially subject myself to libel and slander cases. So that being said, there's this question that keeps coming up, or this topic that keeps coming up, and I can address things about me. There are certain people in my videos that I cannot and will not talk about for either legal reasons or moral reasons. No person can genuinely tell how another person feels or exactly what they're thinking, but I know exactly how I feel about certain things. I know exactly what my emotions are on certain things. And one of these topics that keeps coming up is, Caleb Everett, I cannot believe you just abandoned your family. You abandoned your kids. And though I realize that is not the general sentiment of the majority of the comments on my page, it does keep coming up over and over and over. And I've talked about this, but not directly. So, for the sake of discussion, I want to talk about this today. And before I get started, this is a t-shirt from an old friend of mine, high school friend of mine. Actually, no. John Michael and I went to school even in elementary. And I like to support small businesses. He and I might have differences of opinion on certain things, but he's an old friend of mine, and I support small business. And I told him, he sent me the shirts and said, hey man. So that being said, you busted me. Y'all busted me. I decided years ago that I would get married and make 4 kids, and then just as soon as Linda popped out, boom, I was out of there. Yeah, I stayed gone. I just decided I can't do this. I didn't want to do domestic, and I just abandoned my children. And the alcohol was great, the drugs were great, and just one day, out of the blue, I just decided, wouldn't it be fun to go pick up my 4 kids, age 14, 12, 10, and 8. So I did. I picked them up one weekend, and the drugs were awesome. Yeah. Oh, London, she can knock them back. That 8-year-old little girl, she could hold her own. It was really impressive. And that fateful weekend, we formed a drug-induced bond and an alcohol-induced bond that could not be broken. And so one day, after that weekend, Parker, at age 14, just decided, no rules with Dad. Yeah, all the drugs and alcohol I can stand. Yes! Dad, let's do this. And I said, yeah, son, that's a great idea. I encouraged it all the way. And I hope my sarcasm comes out blatantly obvious. That is not at all how things went down. And again, I'm not going to talk about other people and their reactions or opinions of things that are in my videos, but I can talk about my feelings and what I did and what I saw personally. I literally, not figuratively, not sort of, kind of, not stretching the truth like, sales ads do. We're the best. I literally cut the umbilical cord of all 4 of my childrens when they were born. I cut Parker's umbilical cord, and I'm pretty sure that I cried more than he did. And then Hayden came along 2 years later, and I cut his umbilical cord, and I cried, but not quite as much because I was experienced. And then Blaine came along, and I cut his umbilical cord too. Literally cut his umbilical cord too. And having already cried with Parker and with Hayden when Blaine came along, I was getting kind of used to this dad thing. And I think I, shed a tear. Obviously, I was emotional. I love my son. But I was okay. I held my composure a lot better than I did on the first one when Parker was born. In fact, when Parker was born, the nurses held out their fingers and with the, how they do, or like that, or however they do it with the umbilical cord, and they squeeze the blood out, and they tell you to cut right there. Well, right there was like that close to his little belly, and I was scared I was going to hurt him because I was young and ignorant. And so I got the scissors, and like, and right where they told me to cut, I went, and this bloody umbilical cord just went everywhere. And of course, all the nurses laughed at me, and bless their hearts. That's okay, because I love nurses, because nurses do things that I cannot do. I don't have the capability of blood. When I see blood like that, I just can't do it. So I've got mad respect for nurses, particularly the nurses in my case that took care of me and my children all those years. But then London came along. I'd already had 3 strapping young boys. I was experienced, and I was tough, and I was manning up. And I guess I was about 24, 25 when London was born. This is my 4th child, and that little girl's face came out. And I saw that she was a girl, and I lost my shit. I did cut her umbilical cord as well, but big tough me, so I thought, I cut her umbilical cord, and I thought I cried a lot when I cut Parker's cord, those years earlier. That little girl, she stole my heart. That was the most beautiful human being I had ever seen. Ever since then, since London is the baby and she's my only girl, it has been a running joke within the family that London is my favorite human being, and her turd brothers know it. They know that I'm joking, but they also know that I'm super ethereal. I'm super ethereal that London is my favorite human being. And I'm also joking, and I'm also serious. That's kind of how the joke went. She's the baby. She's my only girl. I'm a masculine man. I don't see a problem with that. Some people do, especially in modern day cultures, but these are the times in which we live, and certain ideologies are taking over in certain sectors of the world. But I'm going to hold on to who I am. I have done some things that I'm not proud of. I began drinking alcohol excessively and abusively, particularly in the beginning, to fight the depression and then to go to sleep. But on that fateful August hot ass day in August in Ector County, Texas, in the middle of the Ector County courthouse parking lot, that day when my son Parker was ripped away from me right before my very eyes. Again, I've already talked about this. I'm open about my mistakes, but I went home and got shit-faced drunk. And then I did it again, and again, and again, and again, and again. And eventually the depression subsided, but I had to keep doing it, or I thought I did. I didn't, but I thought I had to keep sleeping. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about that because I've already talked about that in a video I made right after I got sober just over a year ago, called My Drunkenness, My Sobriety. So this notion that I just made 4 kids with one woman and just magically said, screw this, I'm out of here, until they got of age, and then I just decided to walk in and never pay child support. See, part of the problem is the word child support mixed in with the fact that people's minds, human beings' minds, are relatively easily controlled. I get accused of controlling minds and brainwashing and coercing all the time. The difference is If I was really that controlling and that good at being a narcissist, narcissists do not admit their flaws. I am a lot of things, and I most certainly can be an asshole. I promise you that I can. Screw with my kids long enough, and like the old saying goes, screw around and find out, F around and find out. I'm trying not to cuss as much as I normally do, because normally I cuss like a sailor in my daily life, like a sailor. And I like dirty jokes. I think it's hilarious. I like dark humor. However, there are rules and community standards within YouTube that will not allow me to say certain things. And I'm sure all of you, even the ones who hate me, know exactly what I'm talking about. But the mind control about child support and what child support is, it is true that children require time and effort in today's society that is translated into what most people think of as child support. Child support in reality is time and effort, sometimes with a little bit of luck mixed in. What child support is not a measurement in fiat currency. Child support is the mixture of time and effort. You can put in the time, but if you just hire a babysitter while they're in your custody, you're kind of a douchebag if that's all you do. You got to put in the effort. If you try once a year, great for you. You tried once a year to be involved in your kid's life, once a year, but you didn't put in enough time. You have to show up and put in the effort over and over and over and over. And of all the things anybody could criticize me for, even my own children, at times, it's no secret, our family's no different than anybody else's in that aspect. We get at each other's throats in the past. We most certainly have. I don't know one healthy family that has never done that. But one thing's for sure, I never stopped showing up. I made sure no matter how far my kids were, no matter how many times I got sued, no matter how many times I got arrested and had to go to jail, family court jail. On a side note there, I do not have a criminal record. I have never had a criminal record. There's no such thing as a criminal record on me. I've never been arrested in criminal court or for criminal activity in the streets. Never, not one time. But I was arrested in family court right in front of my mother. And I was thrown in jail. And here I am getting off topic again, but that's okay. Time and effort. One thing my kids could never say about me is Dad didn't show up, because Dad did show up. Even if they got mad at me occasionally here and there, whatever the case may be, they can't say Dad didn't show up. Dad was there. I might not have always been right. I know I did. I made some mistakes with raising my kids. I know I did. I've gone into that. But one thing when I die and I'm thinking about my life on my deathbed, I will not have the regret that I didn't show up. No matter what was thrown at me, I didn't show up, because I did. Other than the 60 days I did in the Ector County Jail on 2 different stints, I never once missed a visitation with my children. Not once. And I'm kind of proud of that. So anyway, child support is not money. That's what most people think of it as, but that is the mind control that society has on human beings. I mean, let's face it, as humans, we can't agree on politics universally. We can't agree on how to raise children universally. And hell, we can't even agree on a diet. We can't agree what is a good diet for our own species. Every other species can. Cats know exactly what to eat. Gorillas know exactly what to eat. Giant blue whales that weigh 200 tons know exactly how much krill they got to swallow in every gulp every single day. They know what they can't eat and shouldn't eat. They know what will fit and what won't. But humans, We've got vegans. We've got keto people. We've got carnivores. We've got vegetarians. We certainly got a lot of drunks. But I hate it when I do this. I get off on a tear and talk about blue whales, and it just makes me want to get out there in my boat and go sailing some more. But anyway, child support is not what most people think it is. I did not abandon my children as much, as badly as some people want to think. I did not abandon my children. They didn't just magically say, oh, Dad's got no rules, let's go to his house. It was a mixture of time and effort. Again, admittedly, I made a lot of mistakes, but I put in the time, I put in the effort. So, yeah, I guess that's about it. That's what I wanted to cover. Those that say I'm a deadbeat, that I just magically appeared, it's just simply not true. I don't care how much your bleeding little heart wants it to be true. Because of how cruel and mean and obnoxious I am, it's simply not true. May not have been the best dad, didn't always make the best choices, but I showed up. Every single time I showed up, except, of course, when I was in jail. So, anyway, y'all take care.